Welcome to the She Wins podcast. I'm your host, Heather Sumlin, and today I have the fabulous Emily Schumacher, Miss Minnesota 2024, headed to Miss America literally so soon. So, Emily, welcome, and
Thank you.
tell everybody a little bit about you.
So, like Heather said, I'm from Minnesota. I was actually born in South Dakota, but I always say I was raised in Minnesota because we moved here in 2007. So, my heart really is in Minnesota, has been since then. I graduated from high school in 2018 and then went on to college at Northern State University, where I got my undergraduate degree in biology and will be applying to medical school this coming June. So, super excited. But take a step back to about 2015, I began my journey in the Miss America opportunity because my best friend was a local title holder at the time and was like, "You should just come watch me at Miss Minnesota's Outstanding Teen and just see what it's all about." So I did. And then afterwards, she's like, "So what do you think?" Like, what do you mean, what do you think? She's like, "Do you want to do this?" I go, "Sure, why not? I guess I could." And so I entered my first local that next season. And the rest is history. I competed three times at the teen level until I won Miss Minnesota's Outstanding Teen in 2017. Then went on to Miss America's Outstanding Teen and placed in the top 12 and was also top five interview, which they don't tell you this at the national pageant who made top five interview. And I got an email as I was sitting in my car at my high school parking lot. And it was like, "You are in the top five interview of Miss America's Outstanding Teen." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool."
Oh, that's
And
sweet.
I kind of remember, yeah, someone asked me, I was like, "Did you get announced that on stage?" I was like, "No, I was in my car of all things in a parking lot." And I remember like calling my director, screaming like, "You'll never believe this," because it was the first time Minnesota had ever been in the top five interview, so it was really cool. And then thought I was going to take a break and go off to college and then come back to Miss America. That didn't happen. I got the itch and came back and won Miss Mankato, and then was Miss Mankato actually three times and had a local in between that. And it took me 5 years to now be Miss Minnesota.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about in this journey to Miss
Mhm.
America. You have to have a platform. Yours matters a lot to you. And I know they call it a community service initiative, but at the end of the day, it's something you advocate for. So
Mhm.
tell everybody a little bit about what you advocate for, why, and some of the things you've been able to do.
So my platform or community service initiative, as we call it, is called the Heart of the Matter, and it's all about combating heart disease through prevention, protection, and preparedness. So, like I said, I want to apply to med school here coming this June, and I've really used this opportunity to leverage my career and make a difference before even getting to medical school. I've always known I've wanted to be a doctor since I was about 5 years old, playing doctor in my basement, going to the rural clinic with my mom, who's an emergency room PA now, but at the time was in family practice. And just being around them, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to serve others. And then when I was about five, my grandma suffered from a heart attack. And I knew it was something serious by the tone of my dad's voice, but didn't really understand what all came to be with a heart attack, the severity of it, all of that. But then as I got older, more of my family members started developing heart disease. And now my mom even has a heart condition that wasn't caught. And so that kind of plays into a role of a few things that I do throughout my year and that I've been doing for the past, 10 years within the Miss America opportunity. But really just advocating for heart health education and then also CPR and AED education as well.
So I ask everybody some of the same questions. Okay. First one,
Yeah.
how do you define winning?
It's not always like winning, not always achieving that goal. It really is the process, the journey along the way. It took me five times to win Miss Minnesota. I was in the top five every single time. And yeah, I lost, but I still won something out of that journey. And so just kind of taking that step back if you don't achieve that goal of like realizing where you started and where you are now.
And when did we meet? I can't remember what year.
Was it about 3 years ago? I think it was
I,
about three
I
years
think
ago.
so. I think
Sounds
so.
about right.
And okay, so when when I think of Emily, I'm like, yeah, I've just always worked with Emily. I don't know, and she's my
Yeah.
Minnesota girl. Chat with her all the
Yep.
time. What's a defining moment for you? Does it have anything to do with pageant, or is it outside of pageantry? You think?
They're a little bit of both. I think they go hand in hand. During my college years, and you know all about
Mm-hmm.
this, but during my soccer career in college, I had three college coaches, and one of them was verbally and emotionally abusive, and it truly just destroyed me, like who I was, my confidence, and that showed on stage when I competed at Miss Minnesota during that time. But because of Miss America, it allowed me to find my voice and how to use my voice again, which I did back at college to stand up to my coach and then also stand up in front of administrators and display what was going on and that it was wrong and stand up for my team and the woman that I loved and played next to every single day. So I'd really say that that was like my defining moment thus far of like, I lost my voice for so long and my confidence, but it was because of Miss America. It gave it back to me and taught me how to use it.
So, for people who don't understand what you just said, how did Miss America and the Miss America opportunity
Yeah.
provide you with the confidence to use your voice?
I think it's just like the mentorship and the constant like support of strong women around you that are there to lift you up and tell you like, no, you are amazing. Use your voice. You're talented. You're successful. Like no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. But I like at that moment, I was like, I would rather stand up for myself, knowing that I did everything that I could possible for me and the women that I played next to and cared so much about, than just not at all and let us get walked all over. And at the end of the day, I there were consequences. I was kicked off the team and was almost silenced through money, but didn't let that happen either and continued to fight and then was put back on the team because there was no reason why I should have been cut.
So, when you're going through this whole process, was there
Mhm.
ever a time when you're like, no, I'm just going to be quiet. I don't need to play soccer. I'll go do something else.
There was like a period of time because this all happened during COVID too. And so we weren't on campus and I was back home and kind of adjusting to this like COVID life. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it'd just be better if I, leave, put that chapter behind me and move on. But I kind of remembered myself when I was like 15 years old of like, this was my dream to play college soccer. And I wasn't going to let that get stripped away from me because I just like let someone walk all over me, and I'm not a quitter. And so I wasn't gonna quit. I wasn't gonna back down, especially since, they just wanted to silence me. Like that's not okay. I think in today's society, you can't just let people push you away for something that you love or a passion that you love. And so it really was just using my voice and finding it and not just pushing it away.
How do you encourage people to get involved in the Miss America opportunity?
Look at all the amazing women that compete. Like I tell people that we are not alike in any way, shape, or form. If you put the class of 2024 that I competed against for Miss Minnesota, we all have different passions, different career aspirations, but yet we're using this opportunity to leverage our future career, leverage ourselves, learn new skills that maybe we wouldn't have been able to learn in, sports or theater or education, but really using this as something for you to leverage you and where you want to go.
Why do you want to be Miss America? I mean, of all the things that you could do with your life, why Miss America?
This is true. It's just a larger platform too for the next step and really truly just saving lives. My whole, community service initiative is wrapped around heart health. And by the year 2035, over 50% of Americans will have some form of heart disease. But what people don't realize is that it's preventable. So, like, let's not be that statistic. And so, as Miss America, with the partnership of the American Heart Association, I'd be super excited to really bring those two things together and start with the women across our country and really advocating for heart disease within women and Americans in general, and just save lives. Like, let's just change America. Why not?
Well, why not? Why not change America?
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
so
why
so
not?
let's start here with changing America, right? So people who are
Yeah.
listening, what are one or two things that they can change that would increase the probability that they'll have a healthy heart?
One, food. Get back to the basics. I always say shop the perimeter. You've probably heard that 1,000 times, but truly eating whole foods, ultra processed foods, particularly, are not good for us. They're full of chemicals, lots of added sugar, unhealthy fats. Fats are good for you, but in ultra processed foods, it's not a healthy fat. So just reminding yourselves of like, let's get back to the way that our ancestors ate, which was whole, nutritious, dense food. And then secondly, just move. Like get up if you've been sitting for a long time, walk around your house a little bit, or if you have a desk job, go for a walk during lunch or after work, just making sure that you're not so sedentary. There's like some statistic out there that sitting all day is just as bad as like smoking a pack of cigarettes.
Oh,
So just
oh, that hit me.
reminding yourself that your body is meant to be moved. So move it.
Okay, good. I mean, you're the second one to tell me this lately, and I'm like, yep, I got to get up and go.
Yeah.
And I think what's hard too is like right now it's the wintertime, right? And like the sun goes down earlier, and it's, I mean, it's really
It's
that.
cold here in
I
Minnesota.
bet it's cold in Minnesota. It's not that cold in Texas, but I bet it is. And so then it's like, and do I want to walk on a treadmill? Like that's boring.
No,
But
that's
I,
boring.
but I bet there's creative ways to move your body. Do you have any suggestions for people?
Just chores around the house, like
Oh, now I
vacuuming,
gotta
washing the
work.
dishes. I know, but like double-edged sword here, killing two birds with one stone. Way to
Okay, that's
go.
actually smart. Yes, I bet you do burn
Yeah.
calories cleaning. And I always say this, and it's so true, and it's really sad, but my husband can attest. I clean when I'm angry. So I almost need someone to
Mm.
make me upset, which is very sad. Like, I don't think I should do that on purpose, but I clean a lot faster and a lot more when I'm mad.
I'm kind of the same way. Or
Yeah.
like I only have like a small window of time, so then I try and beat the clock.
Oh, okay. Now that's smart. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to
Yeah.
set a goal for myself. I think
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. Okay. I can get around. I can get behind the chores. I can get behind that. What's
There you go.
another like creative solutions that you may have created yourself to
Mm.
get your goals? I know you're a very ambitious person, very goal
Very.
oriented. Have you ever had to create a creative solution in order to get something you really wanted?
Mm, I don't know. Being on the road a lot as Miss Minnesota has been really tricky, especially with how I like to eat.
Hmm.
So getting creative with my meals and like planning ahead and prepping ahead definitely has been a challenge. So just making it fun too, of like what little fun recipes can I find online that are maybe new, but also don't have to be heated up and will still meet my goals of like fitness and health and wellness.
Okay, that's cool. Do you ever post those?
No, but I probably should.
Follow. Okay, how can people follow you in case you decide to start posting those types of things?
Well, I do have a personal Instagram, which is Emily_Ray. And then also Miss Minnesota's Instagram is America or Miss America MN.
I think you should start posting it. I
Okay.
also, what are your plans? Like, let's say that you won Miss America. If you could do whatever you wanted, what would you do?
Well, one would be partnering or really bringing my partnership with Avive Solutions to Miss America and in partnership with the AHA. So Avive is a brand new AED company out in California, and it's the first of its kind. It's 2 pounds, extremely portable. You can actually charge the AED with the new iPhone charger, so you don't
Oh,
have to worry about batteries going bad. You just plug it on in when it says it's running low. And then also there's a GPS system built into it, which is brand new. There's no GP or no AED out there like it. And so what they're doing with that GPS system is they're creating what's called 4-minute cities. And so when someone's suffering from a sudden cardiac arrest, dispatch will then hit a button and it will light up all of the AEDs within a mile radius of that situation so that no one has to worry about not having an AED accessible to them. So what they're also trying to do is make this like a common tool to have in the household, like a fire extinguisher. We all have a fire extinguisher, but why don't we have an AED?
okay, that's kind of smart. So then, what would I mean? You probably don't have all the details on what that would cost, but if everyone had one, then we really wouldn't have to worry. Not that we wouldn't have to worry at all, but at least we would have the ability to save our family members.
hmm So the AED runs at about $1,600, which is
Mm.
fairly inexpensive when you're looking at other models too. And then also you don't have to worry about replacing the battery, with
Mm.
being able to charge it with an iPhone charger.
Okay, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you would be promoting and advocating for Avive, and then you
hmm
would also be promoting and advocating for the American Heart Association, with which
Yes.
whoever wins Miss America gets to do that. Is there anything else that you would want to do in order to make the organization even better, considering you've been involved for nearly a decade, if not
Like
more?
10 years
Mm-hmm.
almost. Yeah. I think also just really highlighting our teen program too. I actually had my Miss America send-off party last night, and my dad brought this up too of like our teen program is so important. Like they are going to be the future Miss contestants. And so really focusing on like high school students, showing them the opportunities that this organization can give them and leverage them going into the next phase of life. So that's, getting boots on the ground, going into schools, talking about obviously AHA and that partnership, but also just Miss America and what we can do for women, especially the scholarships. I'm debt free heading into medical school, which is unheard of. I've won over $35,000. And then also my sister, who was Miss Minnesota's Outstanding Teen in 2022, she's debt free as well because of the opportunity that she had with the University of Alabama and Miss America. So she's down there on their presidential scholarship. So really just growing the program from bottom up, starting with the teens and even the Little Sisters program. My sister was a little sister too. And I think that just gives them the exposure to the program and gets them excited for the future.
So basically, if you're watching this and you have a daughter or a niece or a cousin or something who's in between the ages of like 5 and
Hmm.
25, you can, or 28, you can get involved
Yeah,
in some form or
absolutely.
fashion. They can be a little sister, they can be a teen contestant, they can be a miss contestant, and there's mentorship available at all levels.
Exactly.
But
Which is so cool.
I,
There's nothing like it
I think
anywhere else.
one of the things that surprises me about the Miss America organization, I interviewed Jan Mitchell. She's the director of Miss Texas. And I've known her since I first started and got involved in pageantry in Texas on the other side, not as a
Yeah.
participant, right? And I remember, really talking to her about the fact that the volunteers also learn so much and grow so much, and that the
Yeah.
organization actually blesses everyone involved. And I think pageantry does this no matter the system, but the Miss America organization, because there's so much mentorship that happens from the bottom up, from the top down, it is actually pretty incredible what happens even with the volunteers. All right,
Yeah.
shifting gears. Favorite and least favorite appearance you've ever done?
Ooh. Okay, I'm not really a parade person. Like, I know I have to do parades, but I love just to talk with people. And so sitting in a car is very hard for me to not like get down on a little girl's level and talk to her instead of just like having to sit from my car and wave to her. And then favorite appearance thus far. I actually got to do the pheasant opener with the governor, like the governor's pheasant opener, which was super cool. Just a really cool experience to talk with other legislators, talk about my ideas that I want to bring to the table with legislation. And then also just to go hunting in a crown and sash was like super cool.
So you actually went pheasant hunting?
Yes, I went pheasant hunting.
Were you successful?
No, we didn't see a single bird, but it was still fun.
That's why it was so fun because you didn't actually have
Yeah.
to kill anything. That's actually great. So, if you could go back in time and relive one day, whether it's to change it or whether it's just to re-experience it, what would it be?
My crowning moment. It just goes by so fast. And I just want to like maybe soak it up a little bit more and take a few more pictures because I didn't get to like take a bunch of pictures that I wanted to take. So
Hmm.
kind of relive that moment just to get those things back. But knowing that it was just such an incredible moment and accomplishment to just sitting back, looking back at it now, is truly incredible. But just to relive it, I think it goes by so fast. It's only like, I don't know, 25 minutes and then it's over. And then it's get hit the ground running.
What's the best advice that you've been given that's actually changed you?
Don't worry so much about what other people think of you. Like, just do what brings you pure joy and happiness. I think so often, especially within pageantry, we try to please people because we are
Hmm.
constantly serving others. We're trying to please them while serving them when, like, just be yourself. Like, stop pleasing others. Just be you. Truly, like, that was the factor that changed everything for me to win Miss Minnesota was I stopped caring about what other people thought or where what I should be doing and really just focused on me and what brought me joy and happiness and just being me going into Miss Minnesota.
When I think that's something that we worked on too, where I
Yeah.
remember, well, you took advantage of everything. So you took advantage of the Patreon channel. You took advantage of all of the workshops. If I had a
Yes.
webinar, you were in it. If I had a workshop, you did it. If I had a spot open on my schedule, you took it. And
Oh yeah.
I feel like you were just someone who soaked in everything. You're like, okay, I am
Hmm.
going to go 100% and I'm not going to leave any stone unturned.
Hmm.
What do you think? What was something that you learned from either working with me or doing the Patreon or something like that that you think was valuable that you could share with others?
Just trust yourself.
Mm.
I learned this during the closing workshops.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like those were my favorite workshops, were the closing ones, because they really forced me to think and to just rely on my abilities and knowing that like I'm capable of closing an interview phenomenally. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't need something written for a closer. Let's just do it.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, so what I do is I try to come up with creative ways to help people. So I'll do a closing statement workshop I started doing this a couple of years ago, do it virtually so people from all over. I won't have a direct competitor in a class, obviously, because I don't want y'all sharing your closing statement with someone else. But we will practice throwing a close without warning. And you watch each other do it. And I just feel like it's so much more fun to train with other girls who are just as passionate, just as excited, but they're not competing in your state. And then you gain friendships and you gain, I don't
Yes.
know, it's kind of exciting. In fact, we did a workshop the other day where you were paired with a teen that you had known from another state from
Yeah.
years
Like
ago.
2 years ago, I think we did something together.
Yeah, it's just really fun. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I just enjoy coming up with some creative ways to be able to train. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. So much fun.
Love them.
Um, what's the best advice that you give other people outside of be yourself or trust yourself?
Say yes to opportunities that aren't necessarily within your wheelhouse or something that you would normally say yes to. That's why I'm like at like where I'm at, because I've just said yes. Like you said, like I kind of just say yes to everything. Sometimes that can kind of bite you in the butt, but just say yes because you never know. Like something small may turn into something big. Something big may be just something small, but you never know what can come from just like a simple yes.
So tell me about a time when you said yes to something. You were a little cautious, like, I don't know if I should do this. And it turned into something great.
So 24 hours after I won Miss Minnesota, a nonprofit came to me and was like, "We'd love to work with you." And it's called Advocates for Health, and they put out outdoor AED cabinets. And I kind of was like, "Well, I do a lot already with like CPR and AED education. Do I really need to add this?" Like, okay, well, like whatever. And it was just a little email. Well, I said yes, and it's turned into actually something pretty big. It actually got me the partnership with Avive,
Mm-hmm.
and a national partnership that will go past just being Miss Minnesota, and then also the relationship that I have with the people of Advocates for Health. They've been amazing. We also have a few things in the woodworks that would never have been possible without them. And so you never know what's going to come from like a simple email of someone just reaching out to you asking if you want to meet sometime for coffee to go over a few things or just to know what you're about.
So what I'm learning is you better read your email. I,
Yeah,
and take
that's important.
take the time to read the email, take the time to
Yes.
and respond. I think that's important too because I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed. We have so many things or we're trusting someone else is going to take care of this, that, or the other. And I'm thinking about your generation and younger, where you're just kind of so busy that if it's not on your social media, you're not really paying attention to it. And I
Yeah,
think it's important to read your email and then figure, well, hey, maybe this is going to turn into something. And even if it doesn't, what's the harm in just saying, let's have a conversation?
exactly. You
Sounds
never
great.
know who they may know to get you in the right direction, truly.
And you don't really know them without talking to them
No,
first. So
exactly.
you never really know.
Responding is huge, let me tell you.
Well, an
Big.
opportunity knocks, but you got to get off your duff and go answer the door, right? So it's
Yeah.
not going to open the door, but it will knock. So
Hmm.
I think you took
Yeah,
advantage of the opportunity. You didn't just say yes, you actually answered. I feel like that's so incredibly important. All right, so what can we look forward to? What's next after Miss America? Then what?
After Miss America, I'm actually headed out to Seattle. I won an award through Parent Heart Watch, which is a nonprofit that focuses on pediatric sudden cardiac arrest. So I'm one of their like allied health champions of the year. So super excited to head
Ooh.
out there and receive that award. Kind of just like closing the chapter almost too of like everything that I've done the past 10 years. And then moving on, I'll be studying for my MCAT after Miss America, taking that in the spring and then applying to medical school right before Miss Minnesota in June.
Awesome. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm also excited for our Patreon episode. So, we are going to chat a little bit about Patreon for our Patreon members. So, I have a Patreon membership for pageantry. If you are a competitor, if you are a director, if you are a parent of a competitor, it is a wonderful platform for you to utilize. Emily has been a Patreon member since I started my Patreon. So,
Mhm.
real quick, Emily, I put you on the spot. What's your favorite thing about the She Wins Solutions for Pageantry Patreon channel?
I just love hearing from other people.
Hmm.
True. That's why I love your workshops because you never know, like like sound bites or just other people's way of saying things will point you in the right direction of like how you should go about maybe a question or even just like trying to form a partnership with someone or a business. Just listening to other people, I think sometimes is really important because it can give you ideas and set you up for maybe where you want to go.
And the thing is, it's not like we're not copying each other's ideas, but what we are
Mm-mm.
doing is when you have like minded people, when you're listening to people who are heading in a really great direction and they have, for example, Emily's going to give some of her favorite tips for training, competing, setting up appearances, handling the job and things like that. Well, what works for her in Minnesota might work for you in your state. And so it's being able to gain that knowledge, apply it to yourself, and then move forward with more success. I don't believe that I'm have the answers to everything, but I think that I can ask the right questions to maybe lead into a direction that might help you get where you want to go. So thank you, Emily, for being here. Can't wait to watch you at
Course.
Miss America. It's going to be fabulous.
Thank you.
Have a blessed rest of your day, everybody. Thank you, Emily.